But so he was my boy. We grew up together, and I just kept having to fucking get further. He bought a convertible Viper with nitrous. And I told him, I'm like, bro, don't come over to my house in that car, bro. All my neighbors are looking outside. He's, blah, 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 and this dude's, 6 months out of prison, driving through the hood in a convertible Viper, and dudes that have been here their whole lives, they're still driving some piece of shit fucking car, and they're looking at him like, this motherfucker. I said, someone's going to throw you under the bus, bro. Yeah. Dude, they put a camera up on the telephone pole outside of this business that he had. And the feds did.
Dude, I was going to say, you know what? It's just like what you see on, when you see these movies and stuff.
But I know these motherfuckers. Yeah. So check it out. He tells me, man, they put a camera on the pole outside my work. I said, really, dude? What are you going to do? He said, I already paid someone to take it down. I said, you think the investigation's over now or what? Exactly. They said, oh, damn, they found it. That's it. Shut it down, guys.
Put it back up.
Yeah, I was like, bro, man, you got to stop. I think they're watching you. Like, I think they're watching you. Like, stop, bro. And he kept going, trying to beat the game, and they got him. They didn't catch him red-handed with the 5, but they caught his boy, who said, I guess it was his. And then when they went to his business, he had guns there, and he had weed. He had gummies and, like, cartridges, shit that's legal in Colorado and half the country right now. He had stuff like that, which isn't illegal in Texas, so they slammed him with those, too.
Wow.
So I don't know what he's going to get, man. I hope they don't bury him.
I know. It's just but not looking good, though.
No, it's not looking good. That's for fucking sure.
Hey, so when was your show? When's your show coming up?
Wednesday, May 12th. I'll be headlining the Laugh Out Loud, which is the Improv also on Blanco and 410, right behind the Alamo, or next to the Alamo Draft House, behind Twin Peaks, as everyone asks. But yeah.
Now, I'm going to be there Wednesday, but I'm going to feature the Big Al.
You're doing 25 minutes, 25?
Yeah.
In front of Big Al? Mm-hmm. And Clifton Simmons is on that one too, right?
Clifton's, because we were going to try to see who we could find as far as hosting, but I got Clifton, and maybe there might be another somebody else host. I don't know for sure. I just show up. Dude, it's so funny because I remember years ago when I first started, I was like, man, let me see who I'm going to work with, and now it's just like you just go work.
And isn't it weird though when you like your girl or something, like they'll be like, so who are you working with? And what are you doing? I'm like, I don't know. And they're like, what is this now? I'm like, I don't know. I don't know, and they're like,
but it's funny because a lot of people talk about like the San Antonio scene, but here's the thing: if you're from LA, or if you're New York, or wherever, if you're coming, because people come out to shows, they want to see shows, but they want it now. It just seems like they want to see people, like it's just like they'll pack a place out, and if you're on the regular, because I remember, I think when you first did your podcast, you had your friend Chris
Bettis, yeah.
So I remember when and I was working at Budweiser. I was working at the Market Square, and the Selena and the Dinos were playing, mm-hmm. and so, dude, it was a decent crowd. And once it got dark, and this was on Sunday, because we would stay there till I think,
midnight,
11 o'clock, midnight, and so there was nobody there. She's performing. There wasn't anybody there. It was just so crazy because but you kind of, she was getting to be known.
She was just growing.
She was just growing because they were always at
Selena. We're talking about.
Yeah, they were always performing at because back then,
at Rosedale Park,
Desperate Hours.
yeah,
dude, that place was and, back in the late '80s and early '90s, Tejano was like huge.
Oh, I know. I was married to a girl that had 5 sisters. And they all wore fucking Rocky Mountain jeans and Roper fucking boots. And the dudes they were with were the same fucking way. Yeah. And I wore the same way I dressed now is the way I dressed back then with Vans. And I skated and rode bikes. And I was the same fucking Edward. And they were always trying to get me to wear fucking Wranglers and a plaid shirt and some funky ass boots. And I was like, this ain't Halloween. I ain't wearing that shit. That ain't me.
Yeah, so I know. Those clothes. It was funny back. I think I want to say, late '70s, early '80s. I would just go. Man, I wasn't born yet. Yeah, you were.
I wasn't born yet.
lies. You were like in school. On a skateboard back then.
Back then too. I don't even remember.
But it was so funny because clubs were. We used to. In fact, you would go to a club back in the day, and they would have huge buffets. Like I'm talking huge spreads, and that's what they all had them.
Comedy clubs or regular?
No, regular clubs.
Yeah, that's how they draw you in free food.
That's how you. And then they used to have the ladies' nights. Dude, these places were packed. And Winston, it's like you know where we live in our neighborhood.
Yeah.
Okay, so where that you know that mall that Iron City or the mall, the antique mall.
Yeah.
Right across from there was a club called Confetti's, and it was graffitis.
That used to be no, that used to be Club Miami.
No,
it was,
dude, I was there.
It was a teen club though. A long
not,
time ago.
No, not.
It was Image a long.
Maybe after that, but it used to be. First
Confetti's.
it was Confetti's.
That sounds like a gay club.
Dude, we had a gay time. We had a gay ass time over there. It was packed with women. It was ladies, and the biggest night was like Tuesday nights. Isn't it crazy? Because that's how when you're young,
it don't matter what night it is. Yeah.
So and then
you'll make it to work and brag about it on Wednesday.
That was Tuesday, and then Wednesday nights, everybody was going out to the. There was that place where the
Scratch.
No, not Scratch was on the weekends. That's when you or Sundays.
Daddies.
Sundays. Daddies was Friday night.
Okay.
I was like, but the club that's still there now. That what's the country bar that's on Northwest Military?
I know which one.
That used to be the New West back then.
Midnight Rodeo.
No, Midnight Rodeo, and Midnight Rodeo was there too. Midnight Rodeo was there for
the one by Las Chiladas. Is that the one you're talking about? The one that's down the sidewalk from Las Chiladas.
Yeah. The Thirsty Horse. Thirsty Horse.
Yeah.
So I mean, those were all places, and it was crazy.
There's some thirsty whores there too. They appropriately named.
Once again, I had nothing to do with this.
The thirsty whores. Yeah,
But dude, Daddy's was the club though. And
I remember on Fredericksburg.
Dude, that place was like. But see, I was a waiter back in those days. I was a waiter, and we used to work just Thursday, Friday, Saturday. That was it because it was Le Bear.
That's dude, right. That was
the craziest, man. It was when we were on San Pedro and 410. That line was all the way down the street to get in. And it was a small little club too.
It's crazy how some clubs are just outrageously packed. Like right now, the Sky Bar. Have you heard that?
Oh yeah.
The Sky Bar downtown is just like a madhouse of people trying to be in there. And my girlfriend's daughter, who was a waitress at Twin Peaks recently, she went over to Sky Bar because we know there's a few dudes involved in that. We know one of the dudes involved in, so they hired her. I mean, I don't want to talk bad about Sky Bar, but as far as the waitressing goes, she said there was no structure. She was like, you just ask anyone, anywhere, and if they want to drink, and like you don't have a section. There's no one.
Yeah, that was.
And she goes, it was just a free for all. She said it was a free for all, and she just was like, I can't work in that, but yeah, that place is what I've seen.
At one time in the 80s, we had about 4 comedy clubs in San Antonio.
Yeah.
There was the one that I was talking about over at.
You also had the Latino Laugh Festival.
Yeah, this is way before the Latino Laugh Festival, though.
Yeah,
and then, there was a place called Jokers on Thousand Oaks and 281.
That's the one I'm talking about. Yeah.
And then there was another place
in the corner, right?
There was a place on Embassy and 281, and then the comedy club opened up because the comedy club's been there. It was there for a long time downtown too.
Oh, the River Center.
River Center. Yeah. So people that were headlining. No disrespect, but there was when you have like 4 clubs, and it's hard to get like you don't have that. Like at this other club, I saw Gabe Kaplan over there.
Oh really,
yeah,
Mr. Cotter? Welcome back.
And it's just I think
Jimmy Walker. Jimmy
Walker. I've worked with Jimmy. A couple
did
times,
you? He's dynamite. He gets mad if you talk about that shit, right?
Well, you know what he used to, and then I think he
got over it.
Yeah,
he embraced it. He knew he had to embrace it.
Yeah, because he stopped. But I mean, I worked a couple of times with him, and this was in Dallas. I think once in Dallas and once in Fort Worth that I worked with Jimmy. And so,
who was the worst dude you've worked with?
The worst dude.
The worst. Like when you went, did you kind of had shattered expectations? When you went, wow, I didn't know this dude was going to be like that. I thought he was going to be.
I don't know.
You don't want to call him out. Just say it, Danny. Don't be fucking.
No, because there's a list. No, I'm just kidding.
There's a lot of them.
No, it's just what? It's just because I think what happens is that if there wasn't anybody who just, I'll just go wait, at the bar, not watch a whole show.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just.
But like, you didn't work with anyone that was just like a tyrant, and you said, "Wow, look at this bitch."
Well, he always had a reputation.
Who?
Jimmy Walker.
Yeah, he had a being kind of rowdy.
Yeah,
like,
he was just like always like don't do this, don't do that. I was like, I haven't and so.
He told you what kind of set to do.
He told me don't cuss, which was good because it's funny. I cuss more like on your podcast. I hardly ever cuss on stage. I mean, I hardly ever cuss.
Fuck that shit, bro.
But
I cuss whenever I feel like cussing.
But I mean, it's just it's just whatever I feel, because that's how I started.
Yeah.
And so, but I mean, if I worked midnight shows and stuff, I mean, it's just wherever you're at.
Yeah,
And so
I try not to cuss in front of my mom until I cuss. No. You're like, yeah, whatever.
You still out there? You
still out there, bitch.
Yeah.
You know who the worst person I worked with was?
Who's that?
The worst, dude. This dude, and it's not like I had real high expectations of the dude, but I just did not see him acting like this. It was Rob Snyder.
Oh, yeah, I've heard that with
Deuce Bigelow, Mel Gigolo. Dude, that dude, we were on the road. We had 4 sold out shows. He was a diva, bro. He was a diva. First of all, he wouldn't talk to anybody.
Yeah.
And in the back, we're in the green room, and there was a group of people that the club had to cater to him, and he was acting like real, like he knows they're waiting, but he puts headphones in and doesn't want to address anyone. He's looking at his notes before the show. And then when I'm standing there and he takes off his headphones. Well, first he did it like this. He goes, this good looking girl that worked for the radio station, your cousin or whatever.
Yeah, my cousin's cousin, my wife's cousin.
Your wife's cousin. What was her name?
Who's also my cousin.
What was her name? What was that girl's name?
Oh, I haven't seen.
Anyway, she was she was young. She's like 29.
We watch a podcast and like.
Yeah, I know.
Me? Really? You don't remember?
I might remember her name, but she was a real cool chick. She was like she was 29 years old.
Bella, something last name.
I remember specifically that she was 29 because she walked in wearing this tight little black dress. She was going to do the announcement for the sponsors and all this stuff, so she was looking good. But that's finally when Rob Snyder decided to acknowledge someone in the room because there's 10 of us, 10 people in the room, and he's acting like there's no one. Till she walked in, and then he looks at her and he goes, "Oh, what are you doing here?" And she's like, "Oh, I'm going to do the announcement." That girl right there.
Faye.
He says, I'm going to do the announcements. And he's like, "Oh, what's your name?" And she's like, "How old are you?" And she goes, "I'm 29. And he goes, "Yeah, my wife's 29 too." And then he just turns around and puts his headphone back. Yeah, he was.
That's him right now.
That was Kevin from the Comedy Club messaging me right now with numbers for the sales. And so he was. It is. Look.
I know. I believe you. I believe you.
Hey, sorry for late reply. We're at 82 so far.
Dope.
So
we're almost getting to
So
Bob's numbers.
He goes, yeah, man, my wife's 22 too. And he turns around and puts his headphones back on. And we were like, "Come on, bitch, please." And then he took them off again, and he looks at me and he goes, "Oh, you're a comic?" And I said, "Yeah." He goes, "You going up tonight?" And I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Well, you need to wear a suit if you're going to be on my stage." And I said, "I didn't bring a suit, man." He goes, "You didn't bring a suit?" He goes, "What kind of comedian travels without a suit?" I said, "A funny one." And he just didn't say anything. He went back to his fucking notes, and I walked off like, this fucking dick, like, for real. And then we did the first show, and it went well. He's up on stage. Me and John Stringer out mingling and talking to people and shit. People are like, "Hey, man, what's up with that dude? He looks like he's not in a good place." I said, "Yeah, he's just being a dick." The show's over. He gets off stage. The owner of the club says, "Hey, man, Rob's calling a meeting." "What, Rob?" "Before the second show starts, Rob wants to have a meeting with y'all." I was like, "Huh?" And so we go over there, and he says, well, first John was talking to some people. He said, "I'll be there in a minute." Like his family was there.
Was John on the show?
Yeah, he was a feature, and I was opening. And he goes,
"Did he have a suit?"
"Nope." And he goes, yeah. Rob goes, "Hey, man, I don't want anyone going out there and talking about relationship stories. I don't want anyone fucking talking about this." And I go, hey, dude, first of all, watch how the fuck you talk to me. And second of all, I wasn't the one talking about that shit. "Well, get the feature over here. Get him over here right now." I said, "Nah, I'm not the go get him guy. You go get him. If you want him, go get him." He started yelling at all the other people, and they ran off and got him. And then he comes back, he starts yelling at John that he can't do this, he can't do that. I do that. They're not here to see y'all. They're here to see me. So John's like, "I'm sorry, Mr. Snyder, I'll change my set and all this shit." And I was just like,
shows up in a suit the next day.
Yeah, I was like, this bitch here, dude. And
did he have trouble following Stringer? Is that what it was?
No. He actually he wasn't that funny, but the people were there to see him.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing. I mean, it's just.
But he was a dick about it. They sent him a shot on stage, and he started crying like a little bitch. They sent him a shot, and he said, "Hey, man, I appreciate this, but I'm a professional, and I don't drink. I'm not getting on stage. Man, I'm a bitch," and all this shit. He said, "I'll take this one, but that's it. Don't send me any more." So he took the shot. They sent him another one, and then he stopped the show and had a fucking crybaby fit. "I told y'all not to send me another shot. I'm not going to take this shot. Don't be doing that. You're interrupting the show." And then he did all this fucking crying.
Dude, I couldn't even, you know what? I would just said, you're right. I can't even work with you. And I would just left.
I did. He didn't ask me to work with him. The owner of the club is my friend and asked me to be there on the show. And the owner, he was yelling at the owner of the club because he wanted mahi fish, and he wouldn't eat farm raised salmon, and he only could drink Penta water. And he was trying to the owner of the club send someone to go get him this stuff. And I was just like, and so he was yelling at the owner, and I was standing behind him like I was gonna slap him, and the owner was looking at me going, no. Then I was like, oh my God. Then he turned around and be like, what's up? But he was just like, it was crazy.
The good thing is I think I've had more great moments having than most of the guys.
Exactly. I had never had anyone act like that.
Yeah, I don't really had and like I said, Jimmy was he was really cool. I mean, he was nice and the only thing that he did say was like, you can't sell your merchandise. And I was like, dude, I'm featuring. It's like, I'm not, and I'm traveling. I okay. And the manager, one of the other managers said, hey, just go
sell it outside somewhere else.
I said, yeah. And dude, he was selling bumper stickers. And I was selling T-shirts, and he had some shirts to Dynamite. But I mean, and he was really cool afterwards. He goes, "Man, I'm sorry. I said, well, I think you might have forgotten." And he was
what it was like.
Yeah, because see, I think another thing too is that I'm not young.
What the fuck?
So
this motherfucker. We were gonna molest you later too,
when
dude.
you're a young comic,
I was gonna want to wrestle with you.
You take shit. When you're a grown ass man, you fucking don't even give a shit.
Yeah.
Like it's like it's just like you get older. It's like really,
yeah.
I could care less. And
go to prison too. It makes you not give a fuck.
Dude, that would be that would That's one. Yeah, it's just
yeah, because I've watched one.
But if you when you get as you get older and stuff doing comedy, it's just like you stop almost every little city or every city has a little comedy club drama and stuff, dude. I could care less.
Yeah.
Because I got stuff to do. I got a mortgage. I got all this stuff. I don't.
I'm the same way. So, I don't get caught up in. I did. No,
but you could easily. Yeah, we all do.
Well, I not even when I squashed a few dramas. Like I could, but I mean they could still be going if I wanted to be that dude. Yeah. But like I've had a stalker, comedian, a dude, like shooting me message, fuck you, bitch, and talking shit. And I was just like, I'm going to have to go stop this shit. And stuff like that. And I had to go stop it. But, or else it was going to keep going. And I was just sitting there getting texts and fucking tagged and posts and going, all right, bro, like I got to go stop this. But otherwise I'm not around everyone to create them.
Yeah.
And I don't know anyone anymore.
I don't, I can't even remember the last time I went to the club to even just
when I go in there, I don't know any of the comedians anymore, dude. And like you said, I guess I forgot.
I've taken some younger guys with me on the road.
I remember when you took me to that horrible fucking show in the Valley.
Dude, you know what? I was just like...
That was brutal.
Yeah. But you know what? I just wanted to see how you were going to do.
Oh, I did it. Yeah. I mean, we did it.
But it was just, no. And that's... I think a lot of times, too... did we have anybody host the show that... I think
I tried to block that one out of my mind.
I mean...
I don't know if there was. There was probably a local. It was Mario Salazar, maybe, or someone was there.
Mario, no, he booked it, and he would go there later on or something. He always because I remember the first time when Mario went on stage with us, and so he asked me, he goes, "Hey, can I, could I get some advice?" I said, "Well, because dude, he was opening up, and it was like." Yeah, this, I got her in the pussy and this. I was like, dude,
he was so dirty when he went out.
I go,
there,
dude. I started laughing. He goes, Eddie, I go, if you want to work clubs, I said, you may want to just kind of
lighten it up a little bit.
And just be clean starting because you could do whatever you want to, but you just, you don't know who you're going to work with later on. And we were laughing because it's that's a big long running joke because every time I go to the Valley, I see him. He goes, hey, remember that time you told me? I said, dude, yeah,
yeah,
but you. It didn't do any good.
He made a shirt for it.
Yeah. Oh, I know. Pan Smasher. Yeah. He's
Pan.
Yeah.
Pan. He's Pan Smasher. That's what Jay LaFar is pan smashing. What's that?
But I think working everywhere and going, I think the hardest thing to do, and if you work a small city, like a small town, I think those are a lot tougher. Big cities are easy. If you go work Austin, Dallas, Houston, to me, they just seem like they're just, we used to do 3 shows a night.
Yeah.
And those, because by the third show, you're like, holy shit, did I do that bit? Or it's like, and even for doing 25 to 30 minutes, for the third show, you're like, God damn. I remember being on stage and I did a third show and I know I was drunk. And I could hear the people, they go, I think he's drunk. I said, I am. I was like, you just said, I am drunk. Because I'm doing 3 damn shows a night.
Yeah, 3 shows a night, but they're fun. You know what it used to do when I would do 2-3 shows a night? I would be spent after the first or second show because I was so nervous and worked up for it. But then after I started doing it like consistently 3 shows, I love it because you get to work everything out so much different. By the last show, you're like, oh, I got this fucking dialed in.
This is why it was so good. When we would do Wednesday through Sunday, Wednesday, Thursday, you're kind of, let me kind of feel everything out. By Friday and Saturday, you were just like,
it's on.
But those small towns, it's funny. We were in Jonesboro, Arkansas. And I remember it was just like when
that's a place.
Yeah, it's a big college town too.
They let Mexicans there.
Dude, I was gonna get to that because that's the part that I'm telling you. This is the stuff like these road shows, and there was a thing. What was it? I forgot the bookers, and so they had southeast part of the country, and so they had this place called the Electric Cowboys.
Sounds like another gay club.
We had fun.
That's where he gets booked.
So
I know.
So we were, it was like
but the Electric Cowboys.
You have to wear a sparkly suit.
Yeah. Hey, you a comic? You have to wear a sparkly suit.
That's when you were touring with Jade.
Yeah, you and Jade. Jade was a.
No, who did I do? Oh, I was with Jesse Pangelina. It was
so really?
So Jesse and I. So we're doing.
Did y'all start at the same time?
No, Jesse was. No, he started way ahead of me.
Oh, did he?
Yeah. And so Jesse is one of the guys. Matt Golightly were like the two of the guys that I got the most road shows.
Was Matt here in Austin?
Matt was in San Antonio.
Okay.
Yeah, he was in San Antonio. So he was the kind of guy, but like he would like I got booked in Houston back when Don Lerner had the clubs and the Laugh Spot, and all those places.
Mm-hmm.
Like I got booked through him. Because Matt goes, hey, you should bring Danny in his feet. I said, and he goes, well, he better do good or not. You're never going to fucking work this. He would just say that, And so I'm like, holy shit. And then, he got me into the Hyenas too. And Jesse we used to do these shows up in Albuquerque before they do this other run that they have.
Mm-hmm.
Laughs Comedy Club up there. That was fun with Russ Rivas. That was fun.
Albuquerque. I mean, New Mexico's a weird place.
It is. It is.
Yeah. Mexico's a weird place.
So anyway, back to Jonesboro, Arkansas. So we're doing the show, and after the show, and the people were, they were real receptive. They were laughing and they had a good time. But it was, I think after the show, it was more like a country type thing because it was Electric Cowboy. So I remember these ladies were going, so you're from San Antonio? And I go, yes. They go, we love Mexican food. I go, what? I'm
going to make some right now because that's what Mexicans do.
I go, well, it so happens I have 2 tacos in my pocket.
Like, oh, shoot, here you go.
But it was so funny because then we'd leave the next day and we pull up to this little, it's like these little country gas stations because we got to gas up. And I went inside to get a Coke. I swear, it's just like everything stopped. Like, I mean, these white guys just turn around like, and I go, I was only going to get a Coke, I think. And then I'm out of here. And so I guess the fact that I spoke, English, they were just like
proper
okay,
English.
Yeah, I'm out of here. They said,
"How you doing, fella?"
Yeah.
Did you? I'm sure you did. Did you ever do I think it was called LOL, also in Beaumont? Carolyn Picard.
Yeah.
I did that. A few years. That's another place that did.
I heard that's a tough room.
It's very tough, but it's all white country, like Beaumont, dude. I mean, it's Beaumont, right next to Viter.
Yeah.
Is that the way Canyon Lakes is? The Trips New Club?
I haven't been there.
I haven't.
Juan and them did that one this past weekend.
Yeah.
I don't know what if it's Trip's crowd. Trip was kind of tripping pretty much during the election.
Yeah.
And went way, way radically far right. Like if he was gonna die because of the election kind of shit. Like, oh my God. Like he was one of those dudes.
Yeah.
So I imagine it's one of those rooms that if it's all his friends that are going. But I mean, I've done the room a long time ago, but there was no Donald Trump then when I did that room.
Yeah.
I stay so far away from all that stuff.
Me too.
It's just like, you know what? Just make fun of who you have at the house and they'll laugh.
Yeah.
Whether it's family I don't try, because I've never been that Latino comic.
I don't know enough about politics. I don't know enough about them to try to be smart and tell intelligent jokes about I don't like politics.
I can tell you one thing, you'll divide the room.
Oh, yeah.
So it's just like, it's not even worth, unless if you were well known and everybody was there to see you.
See your political angles.
Well, you can talk about politics as long as you talk about
other stuff. If you kill both sides.
Well, yeah, if you talk about politicians, all politicians are crooks or whatever, they'll be on your side.
And not just pick one.
Yeah, they think you're talking about the other side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because watch, you want me to test the waters out there? You want to test the waters on the 12th?
We have a show on the 12th. Well,
I'll go out there and say, fuck Donald Trump. And then I'll be like, and fuck Biden too, though. So, and then just see if it comes back.
Wait, I got to check, fool.
Yeah. Anyone who got a stimulus, hey. Fuck it.
Yeah, it's just, as far as just like, I think what happens too, because I remember there was a comic, and he was from Austin years ago, and he's such a cool guy. I love working with him. Tom Hester.
Oh yeah.
So Tom, I remember we did a show. We were down in Corpus, and I was opening up. I was opening this guy, Jimmy Roulette, who was also Austin comic. Dude, he was hilarious. This guy was so funny. I don't even know where we worked several places in Texas, but so the owner didn't like Tom. And Tom was headlining, and I remember this girl, because I was sitting in the back. She goes, oh, "Great, I didn't want to have to think while I was here." That's what she said about him on stage. I'm like in the back and I'm laughing. I'm just going, really? So then they do this. They go, hey, they had a meeting. It was like a meeting after the first show.
To dumb it down?
Yeah, no, not to dumb it. They were doing this. They said, okay, we want your opening. We want you to do 25 minutes to 30. And that's Tom. He's such an awesome guy. So he said, do 25 minutes. Tom, we're going to put you in the middle, do 15. And Jimmy wants you to close the show out. And then we were like, and so Tom goes, am I still getting the same thing?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
He goes, yeah. He goes,
fuck it.
Yeah, I don't care. And we start laughing. I said, yeah, but I didn't really care because I was doing more time. Yeah. So that's why I didn't really.
But you wanted more money?
Well, you know what? Maybe a little more. I wasn't selling any merch
at the time.
So, but it was funny because it was just
they just to switch the lineup like that,
and just to do that, and so we had 2 shows Friday, 2 shows. I think it was show Thursday, 2 Friday, 2 Saturday, and that was it. And so Tom, his vehicle broke down. He was driving from Austin to Corpus.
Corvette?
No, he had like an old Bronco or something. I forgot what it was. It broke down like at mile marker so and so. So when I'm driving down there, Jesse called me up and goes, "Hey, where you at?" And I said, "I'm just past."
There's no cell phones, or was there a cell phone?
Cell phone. He called. Yeah, there was a cell phone.
What year was it?
Early 2000s.
Yeah, we just got. Yeah, I've just flipped that phone open, and so I said, "I know I was getting my pagers like
beep beep beep. I'm at mile marker too."
Yeah. And so he goes, "Pick up Tom. He's on the side of the road." I said, "What?" And I said, "Yeah." So I picked him up and I took him, and I go, "What about your vehicle?" He goes, "I'll pick it up on the way back." I said, "Okay."
It's gone.
No, dude. Sunday morning, I'm driving back. He stayed there because somebody was going to come pick him up, and then we're going to pick up. I'm driving back, and his vehicle was still on the side of the road. I was like, wow, he left it there all weekend. Man, I was surprised it was still there.
I had a buddy.
Was it all fucked up, though?
No, it wasn't. It
was just parked.
First of all, it looked like something that, I guess.
Might have been left on the side of the road.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Dude, I had a buddy who used to get so fucked up that he would just pull over and walk home. And he wouldn't remember where his car was at. and we used to find his car parked all over fucking San Antonio. I'd be like, dude, is that, I don't want to say his name, but is there so-and-so's car? I'll call him by the nickname we used to refer to him as Drunko. And I'd be like, hey, is that Drunko's car? And we'd be like, what? And then call him up, hey, bro, I saw your car over by Crossroad. Where? Can you pick me up and take me? Like, he didn't know where it was for 2-3 days or whatever. Yeah, dude, he would. But at least he would get out and leave it.
Well, see, I had a friend.
Why don't you just leave it at the bar?
Yeah. Instead,
maybe he didn't realize.
That's what a friend of mine would do. He would just fall asleep in the, and I remember driving home a few times on 410, look over and go, what, Ronnie? God damn it.
Did they give you a DWI still?
Well, but I mean, we always picked them up. Like because back then, this was before cell phones. So, I'd go over there and it's like, hey.
But if you're passed out in the car with the keys, you're getting a DWI still.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're still getting a DWI.
And pull the keys out, sleep in the back.
You gotta take the keys out, put them somewhere else and say, man, I wasn't driving, to get in the passenger seat or whatever you got to do.
Yeah.
They hand out DWIs for fucking nothing sometimes.
Well, it's $10,000. I mean.
It could cost more than that, though. I mean, that's,
Have you ever got one?
No.
I did. I got one. Dude, I got out of prison in May of 2001. Didn't drink at all. I'd been gone 6 years. Got to November. My birthday, was doing good. I'd bought a couple of cars by then. It was doing good, working.
Had a Viper.
Convertible Viper with nitrous. And I went out on my birthday. And I started drinking. My friends took me out, and December I got a DWI.
Really?
And I was on parole. And so I told my parole officer, and she said, "Well, my supervisor said that if you get found guilty of this DWI while you're on parole, I'm gonna have to revoke you, send you back to prison." And she was like, "Well, what's it looking like?" I'm like, "I don't know, but but I'm trying to stall it till I was only on parole for a year. I got it 6 months into my parole.
Oh, okay.
So I was like 6 more months. DWIs you take a year and a half to get to. So I'm like, I could time it right around the same time to get off parole. I got off parole a week later. I was on probation.
Really?
For DWI, 1 year, but it taught me a lesson. I really took it to heart.
Because right now, I mean, you know what it is? It's just you know when people say it's a racket because they'll give you like a obstruction of highway.
Yeah.
And then it's not going to be on your record.
That's
so
your first one. That's if it's under a certain amount that you blow dirty or whatever.
So and I remember like I remember we were out partying downtown. Now this was a gay bar. We were partying.
It's all coming out now.
We're gonna
call this Danny's.
We were at the bottom. I was on Wednesday night at the bottom.
Danny's coming out podcast. What's up, Sucka?
What's up, being Sucka?
Yeah.
What's up, being a Sucka?
Yeah.
So the crazy thing is, I'm driving down 35, staying at my grandmother's house. And so,
like most gay men do.
Maybe I changed. So, the crazy thing is that, so I'm driving back and there was a wreck on 35 right past Highway 90.
Damn near killed him.
There's no getting out of this.
So just get back in there, Danny.
Speaking of oil in the car.
Checking his dipstick.
Yeah.
What happened?
So there was a wreck. Dude, I slid over. And there was, because there were all these cops there, and this is right by Malone and 35.
Mm-hmm.
And I just hit the brakes. I look over, all the cops are just like looking at me. I go, holy shit, dude! I know I was drunk. So a cop walks up to the window, and this is how I roll my window down. He goes, Danny. I said, it's like, oh my God, how did this guy know my name? I was like, but it was a guy I went to high school with.
Oh, I thought maybe he had a name tag.
He had just
the gay name tag.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Danny and I'm gay.
Hello, it's like you're trying to meet people. So he was like, dude, he goes, look, where are you going? I said, my grandmother
to jail.
South Crossing 35. He goes, look, follow me. He goes, I swear to God, if you hit me, I'm shooting you. And that's it. It's over with.
I'm gonna get out of this one. Yeah.
So we're driving. And we drive up to my grandmother's house, and my grandma's looking outside. She goes, "Are you following the police?" I go, "No,
Are you a snitch, mijo?"
I couldn't even talk. I was paying him off. Dude, I was like, man, you talk about sobering up, man. It's like, but he gave me a ticket anyway because I couldn't find my insurance card. And
that's kind of a weird dick cool move. I mean,
it was, but then I got out of it because when I went.
Did you have to blow?
I just. Where's that one TikTok thing or whatever? It was like, hi, officer. It was like, so you want me to blow into that? Yeah, I'm just blowing to the thing or whatever. So.
Did you have to blow?
So yeah, dude, it was like, holy crap! And it's just like, but people, I don't know, it was totally different back then than it is now.
Yeah,
my buddy's got 11 DWIs.
You guys fucked it up for us. I could have drank at 18.
You used to be able to. You would take you to the drunk tank and just leave you there. And
let you go.
Exactly.
I could have got an old ID and just took the picture and put it there.
Technology, motherfucker. That's
not
what
they
fault.
did. It was more because now, like I said, it's just more of it's a racket. They'll put you on probation. You have to go see a probation officer.
Yeah. They put the blow thing on your car.
They put that thing in
your car. They give you community service.
Yeah.
They give you community service. Then they suspend your driver's license and they hit you with those fees. It was $1,000 a year for 3 years.
Oh yeah, for
the surcharge.
That was a state.
The state surcharge. So that was $3,000 right there. It probably $5,000 for your attorney, and then then you got to take a drug and alcohol awareness classes and do all this shit and pay for that. So they get you for about $10,000, like you said, out the gate for your first DWI. I caught mine in 2001, so it cost me about. I'm talking like $3,000 to $5,000. I got lucky because a few years after that, they got really strict with them.
Right. They're so strict right
now. My buddy's got 11, bro. They're about to give him 50 fucking years if he doesn't beat it, man. And it doesn't look like he's going to beat it, but he caught the first 10, in San Antonio. He caught number 11 in New Braunfels. And New Braunfels is trying to give him 50.
Really?
Yeah, 50.
Well, I had an ex-brother-in-law. He just went to jail. Like he just said, "Nah, I'm not paying for anything." He was locked up for like 3 months, and then they let him out. I mean, they did. Just like I was like,
that was a good jail.
Because when I got my DWI, I just done 6 years in prison.
Yeah.
So
6 years.
They kept telling me like, if you don't do this, we can revoke you. And I told them, I don't give a fuck. I just did 6 years. I'll go do whatever the month or 2 or 3 months. I got that much time on the shitter. I don't give a fuck. Send me back. I said I'll do. And then my PO, I would tell her, I don't give a fuck, because she'd say you need to pay off your probation stuff early. I go, no, I don't. If you want it paid off, why don't you pay it? And she was like, well, I'm going to tell the judge you said that. I said, well, better yet, tell the judge to pay it. And she was like, well, they're going to revoke it. And I said, I don't care. I would rather go back right now to the county jail and do a month and be done than a year of probation of doing this dance every month. I got the blow thing on my car. I got fucking community service. I was mad at myself. And I said, I'll just do the month. And
hey, at the end of the podcast, I'm going to be holding him.
Yeah.
So, okay,
and I was like, I'm going to fucking, and tell them to revoke me. And she goes, they won't revoke you. They'll just keep extending your probation. And I was like, oh, those motherfuckers. They just keep fucking with your life.
Yeah.
They're going to arrest you when you're out.
You know where
they're
that
gonna
drunk
get you
tank
at your
used to
job.
be? It used to be on Comal Street, right there on 35. And it was funny because sometimes the guys would get out and, over at Miller, when I was working at Miller, we were right underneath the highway. That used to be the Miller distributor. It was right there underneath the highway. So so I remember some guys would be walking in. It was like, hey, can we get a beer? I was like, yeah. And, we're all just giving them. I remember, one of the things that after, because I forgot how long you have to be gone so you don't get in trouble. We used to,
think about the statute of limitations.
Yeah, about what we used to do. So what we used to do is they used to call it the pigeonhole. So we'd go there after an event. And we just...
They call it a glory hole now.
Those little pigeons, your whole little pigeons.
Yeah. They're all scared. That's why they're always looking around.
That pigeon looks like a penis.
Hey, you know what? You're starting to go there. Yeah. You're talking about... It's like you keep going back to this. It's like, how many times you mentioned gates?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we go ahead with the glory hole.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So we would go there. We would go drink. There was more. We had, after Fiesta, after... One of the biggest things that we would... It was after
Cinco de Mayo.
Not Cinco de Mayo, but it was Kelly Fest that they used to have.
Oh yeah,
dude, Kelly Fest was like the place back then.
Kelly was so big.
And Kelly was, oh my goodness, and it was funny because like, well, I was single back then, so all the ladies that worked back then, I mean, there was a lot of ladies.
They
just
all
like that, the way
hated you.
USAA and like USAA, we used to have events over at USAA on the grounds. Dude, there was beer everywhere. Like when we worked the USAA parties, Christmas parties, it was like just tables and tables of beer.
What about oyster bake? Did y'all do oyster bake?
Dude, I did.
Do you remember how small oyster bake used to be?
Yeah,
it was on one side of the university, and now it's the whole fucking place.
That Pecan Grove area, that was that whole, because Cindy, my wife, graduated from St. Mary's. So
we're trying to, we know you got, somehow you got a smart chick, so I don't know.
You know what?
That in.
Here's how this is what you do. If you're not smart, you find somebody who's smart.
You know what I do?
Yeah, in order to...
I record Jeopardy. Know all the fucking answers. When my chick gets home, I just rattle them off. And she's like, oh my God, you're so smart.
See, it's
and I'm
just,
like,
to be doing comedy, to be doing comedy this long and stuff, you have to have, it has to be a balance. Somebody has to have the job with insurance.
It's not you.
Because, it's not me. Yeah. Not me. Because that way, if you want to, because if something happens, dude, we're not going to have barbecue. I mean, I don't know how many fundraisers we've had, barbecue plates or fundraiser shows. It's like, and how many comics I mean, you can count how many comics have passed away because none of them went to the doctor, none of them had insurance, and that's what happened.
What's crazy? Like Tommy Munoz, when his knees gave out on him, and he just sat around all depressed, and he just died soon after that. Dude. That was like depression and everything else came and took him, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Well, I mean, he was overweight. I know that. That's why his knees buckled. But then when that happened, he really couldn't do anything, and I'm sure he was depressed about it, and that doesn't help your health.
I know, dude. It's just,
and he was a cool dude, Yeah,
he was. You know what? Tom. It was funny because when I first started, Tommy was already there, and I had just started, and he was still more. There was all this like the little cliques and stuff, and it was funny because I used to watch those guys, and I was just like, this guy Miguel, who passed away. Also, he passed away like, oh God, how long has it been? It's been a long.
You've been doing comedy 19 years.
At least, yeah.
19?
Yeah. And it was funny because you start off gung-ho and you want to do everything, and then after a while you start, you know what?
Nah.
Like, it's like, I'll pick and choose. They'll call you up. We have these openings. Before there was always emails. Now, since this past year, you don't get the emails like you used to, the rotations at the clubs.
You said, I feel bad sometimes when I'm like, I see a show that's there available for me, and I just like, do I even want to mess with it, dude?
But and then I started, like, right before last, towards the end of 2019, I was doing country clubs. And country clubs, I tried to get him to do a country club, but it was just too late because
try to get Josh to do it.
Yeah, because I wanted Josh to do it, dude. I had some people.
What country club was that?
Sonterra, but I was doing the Dominion. And
I think, did you hit me up for that?
Yeah. But so. It was, and then what happened, they were like, okay, well, we'll get the next one. And I said, okay. So they made me, and I wanted him just to headline because they would always want me to do shows there, but I was like, it's the same people.
Yeah.
And so, but country clubs are a lot of fun though, too. I didn't think, I was like, it's gonna be some snobby dude. They want to have a good time.
If they're drinkers,
they're drinkers.
Yeah, if they're drinkers,
they want to have a good time. So it was
my crowd, my crowd is kind of a drinking crowd. It's a party crowd because the shit I talk about is those people that are gonna relate to it are drinkers and partiers.
Right. Yeah.
And I don't want to take away. Like, I'm not taking away from Cleto or Raymond or any of these dudes that decided to go a little bit more religious based. But if for clubs, it takes away all the drinkers, because if you're really, really, truly religious and Christian like that, you're not out late drinking on Friday and Saturday night drinking and partying. You're in bed.
Well, if you're Catholic, you are.
If you're Catholic, because you can ask for forgiveness on Sunday. But if
the only time you'll have a tough crowd is during Lent.
And they're pissed off at themselves.
Exactly, because they can't party.
Dude, we did a show at El Paso, at the Comic Club in El Paso.
The comic strip.
The comic strip. So Cleto was headlining it. I was featuring, and Roman was opening the show. So we didn't say anything. We just and just Cleto just did a show. Dude, it was great. It was awesome. I mean, the crowds were good.
What do you mean you didn't say anything?
As far as that
he's a Christian comic?
Yeah, as far as he's just clean, but he. I think he's just funny. He's on stage. He's funny. I mean, we just had a blast. Now the funny thing is that we did do a church show while we were there during the day, and I didn't feel as comfortable there like at the clubs at night because that's just I can't do. I can do some, and that's when it's just like you're doing. You're just doing shows for money. Yeah, it's like you're the comedy whore. I'll do whatever. I want to get paid, but it was just he killed. I mean, it was just the crowds are always good. El Paso's awesome. What's all the clubs. I mean,
Houston. I've always I love the Houston Improv, dude. That's one of my. I always feel comfortable. I guess because when I first started, Juan took me to Houston so many times.
Okay, yeah.
That's like my second home of comedy. I got fans in Houston that I go all the time.
Did you ever do the showcase over there?
The comedy showcase with Danny Martinez. And Danny, when the first time I did, that was a hard stage to get on for some people, and I didn't realize it. But Juan threw me up there one time, and there was all these other Houston comics standing around. They're like, before the show, they were like, "You're going up tonight?" And I was like, "Yeah." And they're like, "How'd you get up there?" Danny doesn't let us get up there. They had to put their name on the wall and hope that someone canceled it, and then they would get a call and happen to be there, able to do it right then and there. That's how they were going to get on the show. So when I went up there and I did my thing, afterwards, Danny called me into the green room, just me and him, to talk to me. And he sat me down and talked to me for like 10 minutes. And Juan popped in and he told Juan, "Can you step out? I needed to have a talk with Edward." And Juan was like, "Oh shit!"
He's about to show me the glory hole.
Yeah, the glory hole. The pigeonhole. They're gonna disguise it as a pigeonhole, I think. And so he told me kind of, like I guess I cussed a lot. I know I was nervous, and he was like, "Hey, bro, you got some good material. You slow down. Take out your cussing. Do you want to do this? Is this what you want to do? I'll come back. I'll put you back on my stage again." And all this stuff. He gave me, and I remember Juan, because I didn't know what had just happened. I didn't know what had just went. I was like, "Well, I'm still all nervous." I was all adrenaline out, and I was just like, "Okay." And then Juan was like, "Bro, you got fucking tutored and schooled by Danny Martinez, dude. That dude's a comedy legend, bro. He's been doing comedy 30 plus years here. He's a club on, dude. He knows everyone, dude. That is the shit, bro." And all, so I was just like, okay. And he told me some stuff, and I love that stage was good.
But the only thing about back then, it was funny because the bar was in the back, so they're making margaritas or You're like, what's going on back there? It's like construction.
That room was so tight. And what 250 people about, and I did that room so many times with Juan and Brother Man. One time Juan. Juan's hosting. I'm featuring Brother Man's headlining.
Oh, nice.
Juan goes up there, and it's during fucking basketball playoffs. And Juan goes, "This next guy is one of my really good friends from San Antonio. I stay at his house when I'm in San Antonio. You know what? His garage is all spurred out. Well, guess what, fucker? You're in Houston now, motherfucker."
Oh, nice.
Wow. There ain't no Spurs fans here. Yeah, give it up for Edward. Boo! They booed me onto the stage, bro. Booed me. My intro was a boo onto the stage. And I walked up there just looking like, I'm looking at Juan like, what the fuck was that? I saw Brother Man open up the door to the green room in the back and to see what the booing was about. And I'm like, the fuck? And he's like, yeah, you got to learn to do these. You got to learn to do these hard stages. I was like, what the fuck is that, bro?
That happened. You know what? That's the same thing that happened to me. That was in Arizona. And that was after the Spurs got beat by Phoenix.
Mm-hmm.
And so, the Spurs beat Phoenix. And so they go, this guy's from San Antonio, Texas. And we hate the Spurs, don't we, guys? Bring him on up, Danny Ingle.
Oh, man.
Dude. And I go, I go, I'm up there and I waited till everything calmed down. I go, I'm not on the team. Okay, so what the hell are y'all
I'll
booing
fight
about?
all of you.
Yeah, exactly.
So you know what I did when I went up there and they were going boo. I said, oh fuck y'all. What do y'all think y'all should get a trophy for second place, motherfuckers? We don't.
Did they laugh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They kind of they're like, yeah.
Okay.
And I was like, yeah, fuck yeah.
These guys spunk.
Yeah, and then I had to go into, but I had to hit him like fuck you first, and then later on I was like, what? Why'd you do that to me, dude?
Have you ever worked somewhere where there was, I remember I was in Lubbock and we didn't have an opener. The guy who was the opener didn't make it to the show. So the guy who managed this place, this was it was like one of those vineyards or something. Mm-hmm. So he brings me up. He goes, dude, I'll go up there. I'll bring you up. I'll do some time. I said, okay. Dude, he walks up and he goes, guys, coming up to the stage. That's all. That's how he started the show. He didn't do any time. He goes, coming up to the stage. He goes, let's see what he's got. I go, what? And so I walk up there, and the crowd was great. They were laughing and clapping. I go, dude, oh my God, it sounded like my wedding night. Let me see what this guy's got.
He's weak.
Oh my man, it was the craziest thing. And so luckily I did an hour, like 15 minutes was just doing some crowd work because they were fun. They were such a good crowd.
Yeah, that's always nice when you can fill a good room in with free time with like crowd work or whatever they just open themselves up to, and it just goes well. That's always nice.
And just do it don't start it off. I mean, you're not going to do any crowd work till like about after 30 minutes in, and then do some, because there's some guys. I remember guys from New York that would come in. There was this guy Rich Ramirez, I think that was his name.
Rich Ramirez is the Night Stalker.
The Night Stalker, dude.
No, this guy had the same name.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he was from New York.
Was he at the Glory Hole?
But he was this guy. This guy, his whole act was crowd work. That was it. And
that's how that dude Tim Schultz is.
Yeah.
From what I've seen.
Andrew Schultz.
Andrew Schultz, I mean. Yeah, Andrew Schultz.
Okay.
Ian Bag, that's all he does.
Crowd work?
Yeah.
Terry Gross?
Yeah.
The Gross Man?
Yeah.
Oh, that dude's crowd work is fucking so good. You know who else? Blame the Comic.
Really? Well, here's the thing about Terry. I remember when I worked with him, and we were somewhere in South Texas, whatever. He was hosting the show, but he did 45 minutes before the show even started.
Yeah.
Man, he was just like, he was funny. But I was like, and then I went up, I did like 20, and then he came up after me again before he brought, I guess who else, I forgot who we were, I think it's Gleto. And he did another 30 minutes in between me and Gleto. I was like, man, but we were laughing.
Yeah, but Terry's funny. You know what he did?
Terry's funny.
Dude, before Terry went up, before I had a show, he was hosting. My buddy, my best friend that I'd robbed the jewelry store with, had just died in a motorcycle wreck. He did 17 and a half years.
I remember when that happened.
Yeah.
You were
I was
stuff at
I was in Corpus when he wrecked and died, and then we came back from Corpus, and I had to be in Houston 2 days later for a big show in Houston. It was sold out, and it was all black show that Vance had got me on. Terry was hosting it, and I was fucked up. My dog had died Saturday night, and my buddy died. My dog had died Friday. My buddy had died Saturday, so I was devastated. So I go to the show and
let's see what he's got.
Yeah, let's see what he's got. And everyone's calling me asking what happened to Mark, and so I'm having to tell this story over and over. When I finally didn't want to answer the phone
if I can
anymore.
remember right, this happened like where the fine silver
curve.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He was doing 100 on the fine silver curve on his motorcycle. He had just done 17 and a half years in prison. Yeah. He didn't anyway. So we get to Houston, and everyone's calling, and Vance tells me, bro, you don't have to go up if you don't want to, man. Because I'm crying. I'm trying to stop. I'm trying not to cry. And he's like, dude, you don't have to go up. And I go, nah, bro, we were fucking here. Mark, the last time my buddy saw me was with Carlos Mencia in Houston at that improv. So I was like, dude, I got to do this for Mark, bro. I got to go. The show must go on. So they're about to introduce me. They go, next, hey, you're going up next. You're doing 10 to 15. I said, okay. I'll clear all my tears, wash my face. Terry goes out to introduce me. Well, okay, you ready for your next comedian? But before we bring him out, who's got a birthday? Who's got a birthday out there? Okay, you come up here. You come up here. Brings 3 girls up. 2 young women and an older lady. Like I'm talking like 60s, 70s. And then 2 young, really good-looking girls, black girls. One was kind of look almost like Hispanic. So, no, 2 girls and a guy.
2 girls, 1 cup.
Now, two girls and a guy. He brings him up, and so he tells the first girl, he's like, you want a birthday shot? She's like, yeah. He goes, okay, I'm gonna give you a birthday shot, but first you have to dance for it. He says, DJ, cue the music, and they start playing. All I want to do is zoom, 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 and a boom, boom, and it's the older lady, and then she's like, all like, no, and he's turning around, doing, Terry can dance. He's doing all this shit, and then all of a sudden she breaks right out, shaking, twerking, and all this shit, and the crowd goes nuts. This old lady shaking her butt and doing all this stuff, and oh man, he's dancing with her. Now send her a shot from me. Go have a seat. Next, he turns around, looks at the other girl. Oh, come on, mama, see, because she looks kind of Hispanic. Yeah. And then they start playing some salsa type of music, and boom, she turns around and starts dancing salsa with him. The crowd's going nuts. I'm like, fuck, dude, fucking go have a seat. Send her a shot. It's on me. And he turns around and looks at the dude. And then the dude just like, oh no, like I would like, and the crowd is fucking, they're laughing, and he's like, no. The dude starts to walk. He goes, no, you're not leaving. You're not getting out of it that easy. DJ, you know what it is. Cue the music, and they start playing 1, 2, 3, and to the 4. Snoop Doggy, Dr. Dre is at the door, and so he starts doing like crip walking and doing this shit like that. And that dude just looking at him, and then they turn it into the kid and play thing, and then they both start doing the kid and play dance with each other. Like they set it up.
Oh, okay.
They start doing
whole thing was set up.
Yeah, they start doing the kid and play dance together. And the crowd is fucking losing their shit. I'll go have a seat, send him a drink. All right, give it up for Edward Hernandez. I was just like,
Terry used to do that. Did he do that dance where he dances like he has Down syndrome or something?
I don't know.
This dance.
Dude.
Dude,
I was
hilarious.
But I've seen him a few times. He's funny, dude. He's funny. Hey, I mean, I don't mean to cut you short, but we're gonna have to wrap it up. We've been in here for a minute. But what you got coming up, Danny?
Actually, this Wednesday I will be at featuring for
Al. This Wednesday, Cinco de
Mayo, over at the LOL Comedy Club. And also this Saturday, I'm going to be in Odessa, Texas at this brewery.
At Odessa, Texas.
Frisky's Brewery in Odessa, Texas.
You're headlining?
Yeah.
Oh, nice. So that's what you got coming up?
That's what's up for right now. There's a couple others, but I forgot the dates and forgot where I'm going to be at.
Well, yeah, man. Well, you can throw them out there on Facebook. I'm headlining.
It was fun. All this gay talk.
It is, yeah. This is a gay old podcast, dude.
Yeah, I was like, wow. It's just, who knew? Like,
the expose.
This podcast is
brought to you by the Wild Club, the Bonham Exchange, and Heavy Leather Accessories.
Yes.
But yeah, man,
lube.
I've got Adam and Steve sex shop. But yeah, man, I got a show. I'm headlining the LOL, man. If y'all got any time on Wednesday the 12th,
I want to go. If I'm in,
come check it out.
I want to go because I think I'm supposed to be in San Angelo that night. But if I'm not, I'm gonna
come check it out. I'm gonna try to pull 45 minutes to an hour on there to get the club's giving my first headlining spot, so it should be fun.
If anything, start doing some dancing.
I've thought about it. I've thought about it. Give some free shots away and all that shit, dude.
Yeah.
All right, Josh. Anything? You got anything, Josh?
Yeah, I'm gonna be somewhere. I don't know right now.
Good breakdown. That's it, dude.
Yeah.
But
hey, appreciate it, man. I had a fun time.
This is badass, Danny. We got to have you on again at a later date and see what you're up to. Appreciate it, y'all. Peace.